In this exemplar video, we're going to show you the various different ways that the School of ICT have approached the challenge of whole-of-class live coding teaching sessions. For the more practical units in ICT, various approaches were trialled to deliver content about programming languages and app development. The difference was largely in terms of who was driving the programming, be it the lecturer and students in parallel, students leading while the lecturer does the actual typing, or a lecturer demonstrating a concept directly. There's a heap of variability in what students prefer from this or what should be delivered for students based upon their programming proficiency and available hardware. Most ICT units use a pair programming approach for the live coding session. This approach is lecturer-led, with a high reliance on student input, backseat driving the process. In these sessions, the lecturer would generally make some deliberate and not deliberate mistakes for the students to identify and debug. The example here from the web programming unit shows the class building a website together, and this website example would actually follow on across multiple weeks for continuity. The live coding would take place after some introductory theory-based slides, and would focus on implementing those key concepts in real time. Students would then follow this up with a practical exercise in their tutorials. A modification to the pair programming approach that I personally trialled in third year mobile development was a code with me method. While the content itself is still lecturer-led, the actual development is done both by the lecturer and the students at the same time. In this unit, each week we would build a small app that demonstrated the key concepts of the week's preparatory content. I would code things at a slow pace, explaining things in detail with the idea that it would give students enough time to follow along and copy what I had written. For a class size of 50, we had at most around 10 students coding with me, while everyone else was watching along and still participating in a pair programming way. Using Discord, I had a non-verbal and efficient way for students to indicate whether they were up to speed with me, and it was easy to share code snippets or whole files with stuck students compared to other platforms. While almost everyone enjoyed this delivery method, there were varied opinions on the pacing of things, and this seemed to be dependent on skill level. Additionally, only the skilled students felt confident enough to code with me. Another commonly used approach to live coding in ICT is to make the content highly related to the unit's tutorial content. In this third year example, the lecturer completes the tutorial work, but is directed by students on what to focus on. This is made possible as the related tutorial work is delivered before the lecture, allowing students to discuss what parts were most confusing, and even use this as a way of getting unstuck with the tutorial work, including debugging of their work live during the session if there's time. Students of all skill levels enjoyed this approach, but it should be noted that it was a smaller class size. The examples shown so far have been for second and third year subjects. Teaching programming concepts to first year students is an important and challenging task, and our staff in first year do variations on the approaches shown previously. In the previous example, third year students would attempt the tutorial work on their own and use the live session to see the real solution and debug their problems. In first year, we work through the tutorial in the live session first, allowing students to come to the tutorial with additional context for what they're doing. This is then followed up by another live coding of the work by the tutor at the end of the tutorial session. Because of the first year's skill and confidence level, these demonstrations are a lot more lecturer-led. Every programming lecturer in ICT has their own style for live coding. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of variation. In ICT, we're all working really hard, iterating on these approaches to ensure students get a useful and active learning experience.